There is some kind of an undeclared competition to prove the world who is more Hindutvawadi. There is a political statement to be made that Maharashtra Chief Minister, who also happens to be Home Minister, can't manage his own constituents, or he wasn't ready to understand the tensions, pulls, and pressures within the constituency.
Around Aurangzeb and the identity politics, how relevant has it been in Maharashtra's politics?
Currently, the whole idea is to create something against Muslims to fuel that already ignited fire. Everybody loved Shivaji, but now currently he is being portrayed as a Hindutva icon. That's you are limiting Shivaji's stature. Who is that to portray him just as an Hindu savior? That is something which can be objectionable, and to portray against Muslims, that was not the case.
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. I'm Charulata Biswas, and today I'm bringing you a discussion on the whole Nagpur controversy. Let me first give you a brief on what exactly happened. On March 17th, members of VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and Bajrang Dal organized some protests and demonstrations, and they demanded the removal of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's tomb in Khuldabad. Happened across the Maharashtra, but in Khuldabad, they burnt an effigy near the tomb, and some rumors spread during that protest, and that led to tension and resulted in violence. Now, in response to the clashes, authorities imposed a curfew in several areas of Nagpur, including Lakatganj and Kotwali, and even Devendra Fadnavis, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, he condemned the violence and said that he will punish the people who are behind the protest and the violence. So Aurangzeb's name has been tossed around a lot, and to talk to us about this whole incident, I'm being joined by senior journalist and editor of Lok Satta, Girish Kubher. Hi, Girish sir, how are you?
Good.
Let me first ask you about Aurangzeb. His name still sparks heated debates, and in Maharashtra, he is definitely a contentious figure. And a day before the violence unfolded, Devendra Fadnavis had given out a speech where he said that the glorification of Aurangzeb will not be allowed. Can you tell me how relevant is Aurangzeb in today's politics, and why does we keep finding his name in the political discourse?
There are basically three reasons. First is why some people need Aurangzeb to create such kind of an issue. The obvious reason, number one reason, is that it's part of larger plan to bring or push Maharashtra towards cow belt, towards north. So there are concerted efforts to bring in this issues of Hindu, Muslim, and kind of thing. So that the politics in Maharashtra is polarized. So that's a larger game plan. It's not going to be achieved so soon. But there are efforts. The way Hindutvawadi forces work, and they take their own time, but slowly, the building is. They've built those castles, of issues. Number one. Number two is. Amongst the BJP or amongst the Hindutvawadi forces also, there is some kind of an undeclared competition to prove the world who is more Hindutvawadi. So this is like that Lalita ji, Meri kameez, teri kameez se safed kaise kind of a thing, So who is more saffron than me? So everybody is trying to get into more and more into aggressive Hindutva. This is the second part, which definitely has an important role in this current controversy. And number three, that's very important. The third part is about friction within the ruling alliance, and especially two parties of the alliance. First, obviously, is the BJP, and second is Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena.
Right.
The whole instigation, if I may say so, came from the way Mr. Shinde spoke in the assembly and otherwise also, because he is one of the most disgruntled elements in the power game. He lost the big post. Since then, Shinde is trying to find some place for himself, some relevance. He's trying to find for himself, and this particular issue. And look at the place the violence triggered. It's Devendra Fadnavis's constituency. So
Yes.
it was clearly there is a political statement to be made that Maharashtra chief minister, who also happens to be home minister, can't manage his own constituency, or he wasn't ready to understand the tensions, pulls, and pressures within the constituency. So these are the three basically important aspects behind sudden triggering of newfound love of Aurangzeb.
Mm. But has Aurangzeb been in controversy, or the whole politics around Aurangzeb and the identity politics? How relevant has it been in Maharashtra's politics? Is this the first time that we are seeing something of this scale?
No, not really. There was earlier Afzal Khan issue. Afzal Khan's tomb in Mahabaleshwar, where he was killed by Shivaji. That became an issue. There were attempts to vandalize the place or to destroy the tomb. And so what I'm trying to say is that if there was no Aurangzeb, those who are interested in creating issue, they would have found something else. So the whole idea is basically to have Hindu-Muslim tensions and the issue, keep the pot boiling, as they say, So unless the pot is boiling, the polarization won't come to the result, whatever is expected of, So this is the reason. Aurangzeb, actually, if you look at the history, after one of the Maratha leaders was released from Aurangzeb's captivity. He was there for 18 years. First thing he did was to go to Aurangzeb tomb to pay respects or whatever, But history is not the point. It's not that no one knows the history. Everybody knows the history. It's not that Shivaji never had Muslim kind of warrior, someone leading the team of experts in his cabinet. They were there. But currently, the whole idea is to create something against Muslims to fuel that already ignited fire, and that is the reason. Aurangzeb just what can we say? Aurangzeb is just a coincidence, which is like easy to sell the story and to vilify. And there is a history of Aurangzeb's destruction by his people of famous temples in Maharashtra. There is a history of atrocity committed by Aurangzeb. So now it is coming handy to polarize the atmosphere, and that is the only reason.
Would you say, and I'm asking you this because Devendra Fadnavis in the assembly said that people's emotions were heightened or overflowing after watching Chhawa. And that sort of should not happen, and they should control themselves. People should control themselves, and probably the whole competition, like you said, who's more saffron, it all sort of, the coincidence happened because a movie was in the theaters. I have not watched the movie, but I saw visuals on social media from the theaters where people were assumingly nationalistic and patriotic, and they were crying and they were weeping visuals, very emotional visuals coming from the theaters. How is the Maratha identity attached to Shivaji? Anyone who is an outsider, like from outside Maharashtra, they would want to understand this whole sentiment around Shivaji.
See, it's not only Maratha identity. It's about Maharashtra's identity. Because people outside Maharashtra, they confuse with Maratha and Marathi. Everybody speaking Marathi may not be necessarily Maratha. Maratha is a dominant community, caste. Kshatriyas, descendants of Kshatriyas. But Shivaji is a figure that stands out about everything, all the caste, language, religion issues. Shivaji bridges that, and he stands out above everybody else. Because look at the history. Born in 1630, died in 1680, just 50 years life. But he was the first in south of first in India's history to challenge the invaders. Everybody were serving for them. Many Rajputs and many other Hindu kings and Samstanics and princely states, and they were working for them. For Mughals or Adil Shah or Nizam. But he was the first person to rise above the situation and challenge the Mughal, and the invaders, and thought of setting up its empire. And he's the first one to think of minting coins and creating kind of an identity, state identity, a language forum. So that's how Shivaji is not only associated with Marathas, it is Maharashtra's identity. And why? I mean, I had written one piece in Indian Express, so many Shivajis, Everybody loved Shivaji. Even communists love Shivaji. Hindutva love Shivaji. Socialists love Shivaji, because there are various aspects of Shivaji's history. But now currently he's being portrayed as a Hindutva icon. That's, you are limiting Shivaji's stature, because Shivaji himself called his empire was called as Hindavi Swaraj. He was a Hindavi king. So Hindavi doesn't mean Hindu. Hindavi means indigenous. So somebody who's born in this local soil, connected to local soil, working for locals, and those what you call Senapatis of Shivaji, during non-war periods, they were farmers. So beauty of Shivaji is like creating warriors among or from the common peasants and workers, and like any other common men, And that's how Shivaji, there is so much to learn about Shivaji. I mean, Jadunath Sarkar, I mean, he was not Maharashtrian, but he thought of comparing it with Napoleon. Unfortunately, outside Maharashtra, there is not much of history about Shivaji is being taught, at school level. So that's very, very limited appeal about Shivaji and associated with one particular community. So now the issue is that to portray him just as an Hindu savior, that is something which can be objectionable, and to portray against Muslims, that was not the case. Shivaji had issued orders, and one of the orders said, if you find any of the holy books, even Quran, treat it respectfully and send it back to the mosque. So that kind of a liberal leader, to use the current terminology, I mean, he can be described as genuinely secular king, and a genuinely secular, benevolent king. But now, currently, everything is being used for petty political and religious issues. And this is the classical case.
So you busted two myths about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. That one, he was not a Hindu savior, or he was not against Muslims, which is something that political parties and so-called Hindu organizations.
Just one more point in this regard. Look at the number of battles Shivaji fought. Most of them were the battles he had to fight against his own men.
Exactly. So
the conquests. Yes, and like his cousins, his uncles, and his mamas, and all those people. They were all Hindus, but Shivaji had to fight those battles to reach where he could reach, So to portray him against only Muslim, and this is not correct, actually.
And somewhere I read that Aurangzeb fought his older brother for the throne, because according to Mughals, the property is divided equally, and Aurangzeb's older brother wanted it all, and he wanted Aurangzeb away, and that's when both of them fought, and Aurangzeb eventually won. But exactly. So how do you exactly, in the beginning of our conversation, you said that Eknath Shinde sort of wants to probably put Devendra Fadnavis in his place. And show probably that he is not the right fit as the Chief Minister and Home Minister. How do you see this unfolding in coming times? Because what happened in Nagpur, and I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi is supposed to be visiting Nagpur. Correct me if
on
I'm wrong.
30th.
On
For a different cause, yeah, but his visit is
Yeah.
pre-planned. But yes, he's visiting Nagpur on 30th.
Yeah. So with such sentiments in Maharashtra, and even though the violence had erupted hours before that, Eknath Shinde, Fadnavis, both of them talking about putting an end to glorification of Aurangzeb. How do you see Maharashtra's politics unfolding henceforth?
See, Maharashtra can't be. I mean, you can't think of Maharashtra without thinking we as a nation. It's everywhere the same. Something or the other.
Yeah.
In South, you will find a language issue.
Language.
In other areas, you will find caste issues. So the whole kind of atmosphere is filled with to create some kind of an issue. This versus that. And why it happens, I have a simple theory. When economy is not doing good, when you have nothing to offer in the present circumstances, when you have nothing to showcase on your CV, you go back to history. So you look at the national politics also. They want to go back to something like when one of the most talked about or the most celebrated event of the science is being celebrated all over the world. Sunita Williams, after spending almost 9 months there in the space, coming down, we are going back 350 years and digging some grave,
Yeah.
So this shows the reality, and that's why it is happening again and again, because there is not much for these politicians to showcase about their performance. So the best thing is to dig out something from the history, create some issue, and fire. Try to create some kind of tensions and fires.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. It was lovely, and having your insights in this whole controversy of who is more saffron than another. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And if you like this video and if you found the information useful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, The Indian Express. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.